the team, frustrating to watch. Don't seem to be learning some of the valuable lessons that we need to. The errors out the yardage again. A little bit of panic setting again, and then we make hard work of it. But in terms of character, in terms of desire, in terms of grit, sensational. Just pleased to get on the right side of the results, mate.
Oh, well, there's a couple of class bits of play there from a couple of players. Obviously, short kick-off, which they got back. Great play from Connor, and then class bit of play from Sneed. So, we lost it. I just think you just can't fault our boys at the moment how hard they're working, but it's tough. It's tough. It's really tough at the minute. We're losing games. By marginal decisions and marginal points, different differentials. So it's hard, and you're trying to find a way through a really difficult situation. And I think we've been super unlucky. One thing I can't fault is the commitment of the players, because I thought we belted all tonight. Thought our commitment to defence was fantastic, and our application to attack was great as well. Conceded a couple of soft tries that you think, if we're a little bit better there. I mean, that second try is just beyond belief, really. We're close, but we don't get the result again, which is clearly very, very tough to take.
I thought we had some really, really big performances. Having to make late changes again the morning of the match, with James Hall not being able to play, and then having to move Kieran Buchanan into that full-back position, and then losing him, 15 minutes into the game, and you're bringing on obviously a debutant in Ben McNamara to play in a key position of scrum half, and obviously Sneedy on that left-hand side. Shows loads of character. So there were some big performances from some of our bigger players. Just pleased that we got the result.
We said at half time we probably should have taken a couple of different options, but it's easy to say when we've got a front rower playing at halfback. I actually thought it was phenomenal tonight, to be honest, Grant Millington. But we're missing. Your key playmakers do make better decisions. They absolutely do. That's what you saw with Hull at the end. And we just couldn't quite score. I mean, I thought we dominated the game. The first half, and we ended up going in behind, which I just thought it was a travesty, really. So that was disappointing. But look, we. Decision making wise, we'd want to be a little bit better at times. But like I say, if you've got some square pegs in round holes, it's always going to be a little bit more difficult. And I think that's a bit of a point of difference for us at the moment with the players that we've got missing. But we've got some young players coming through now, and that's going to really benefit us moving forward.
Yeah, it's a win which hopefully allows us to get some momentum. Last week's game, it was in the balance, and a couple of key plays. If we took them, the result might have been different last week. But this week we get on the right side of the result, and plays from Jake Connor and Mark Sneed at the end there, which was between the two sides. And in this competition, the way that it's being played, and the manner of how you prepare your team, it's very, very difficult to get some consistency and continuity on the training field. So you are learning a little bit live in every single game. So we'll review that. We'll the weekend off, and then we have a good week's practice next week, ready for obviously the game against Huddersfield.
It was so there was some pressure from the inside defensively that was taken offence to. So Jack O'Neill then gets pulled to ground, and that impacted then on a number of players coming together. So if if the aggressor would have been a Castleford player in terms of creating the melee, then I would have agreed with the try. But it wasn't. It was, he was pulled to ground, and it was clear that he was pulled to ground. So it was a nonsensical try, really. It didn't make any sense at all. So, clearly it was a flashpoint in the game. But I think the decision was wrong. You'd want your players to always play to the whistle, but certain things happen in rugby league that create a coming together of players, and that was one of them. And if a player, as happened with Jack O'Neill, gets pulled to the floor, he's taken out of the game, clearly taken out of the game, which creates a flashpoint then, and that's where a number of players came together. So I just think that should have been. It should have been chalked off because of what happened to Jax, but I don't know. I ain't got a clue at the moment with some of it, but it's disappointing at the time.
Yeah, it's a tough call. I can see why Daryl was so frustrated with it, but play continued. The referee didn't blow his whistle, so you have to continue playing to the whistle. That's something you get taught. In the junior days, you've got to play to the whistle, and because the referee didn't blow the whistle and didn't feel there was foul play, we carried on and members of their team carried on. And obviously we ended up scoring on the back of it. But I can understand Daryl's frustration because, there's 5 or 6 of those players who would probably be running back and, put themselves in the position to, maybe make a tackle on Jordan Johnstone. But players being players, a little bit of a fight starts. Everyone wants to run in and show how tough they are. And unfortunately for them, it's cost them a try, which was a key score.
And as well as Andy, you went over 50 minutes without conceding an outright penalty. Is the discipline something you've been working on?
It's frustrating a little bit when, you read, comments that, ill discipline crept in. It's out of your control. You can't control what the referee is going to interpret, in terms of a contact, a decision 10 metres. So, we've told the boys discipline's really important, and how we try and control discipline is making sure that you arrive on time to training in the correct kit, making sure that they arrive to the appointments for physio, all that sort of stuff. So the discipline off the field is on point, and we try and make sure that when we're doing any sort of drill, when we're saying line to line, they make sure that they get the foot over the line, etc. But as much as you talk about discipline, sometimes it's out of your control because of interpretation from what the referee sees and also what the opposition may be doing. So, yeah, our discipline is something that we have touched on. It's something that we constantly, make the players aware of and highlight, but sometimes it's down to, obviously, interpretation.
I've never been a great loser, to be honest. So, it always impacts on a coach when you're losing games. It's hard. It's hard getting players on the field. Managing games is difficult because of what's happening to us, and it's every week, to be honest. So it's tough, absolutely tough. Tough for players, tough for coaches, but we've got to get ourselves through it and out the other side where something grows because of what we're going through this year. But I think. The one thing I would always do, and I would ask everybody to do in rugby league, is to look at themselves and see, and just make sure you're doing the right thing. And I would always ask that of myself and my players, and that's what I would say to everybody, really.
Yeah, Ben's a really good kid. Come through the system, been on our scholarship, and then in the City of Hull Academy, and worked his way into the reserve grade team, and then we brought him into the full-time environment. And what Ben's done, he's a great advertisement for all young kids. He's done it the hard way. He's continued with his education. So he's had to do a lot of training on his own and a lot of training, away from that team environment to continue with his studies. And then once he's come into the first team environment, he's a kid who comes every single day with a real good attitude, wants to listen, wants to learn. Sits in, team preview, other guys are doing review because he wants to learn more. Just a great young man with a good level head on his shoulders. knows the game inside out, and obviously that's from the hours he's probably spent sat with his dad talking about the game. He's just got a great attitude and someone who we've got a lot of confidence in, and we feel as though he's going to be a big player for us in the future. He did extremely well at short notice to get the call this morning, and then to be thrown on within 15 minutes, and you put him on that right hand side, and he's up against Junior Moores, who was a big handful, and he then held his own defensively, and what he did do well was he played it simple. From a half-back's point of view, sometimes they can chase the game and try and come up with the big plays and try and win it on their own, but Ben understands the process of the game, and he come up with a really, really telling box kick late in the first half, which was key for us, having a little bit of field position, and then to come up with the try scoring to play which he did was excellent. But the type of kid he wasn't happy with the pass that he threw to Jake because it didn't quite hit the target, and then Jake had to make that pass, and then Ben obviously supported him. But that's the type of kid he is. He wasn't happy with the actual pass which he threw. He's a great example for young kids. You can be good, but there's always things you can improve on, and Ben's kind of one of those guys who will look to improve and work every single day. Can I just ask something as well from a press point of view? It's great that obviously young lads played so well in Ben McNamara, but we've been guilty of hyping some young kids up too much and put them on a big pedestal, and a little bit like the old Alex Ferguson. We want to try and protect someone like Ben. He did a great job tonight, but I think it's important that we try and manage him the best we can. So just don't want to tell you how to write your articles, but that's something that I want to try and deal with the young kids who are coming through the system. It's keep the feet on the ground and try and protect them as best as we possibly can.